Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. We'll be talking about commercial real estate in Central and Eastern Europe. Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the special edition of the Coffee with Craig show. We're here at the London Prop Tech show, and with, I don't know, a couple thousand, looks like a couple of thousand visitors, and I'm here with Angelica Donetti from Donetti SPA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
Well, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show. And yeah, I was listening to your panel yesterday, and I know that you're doing more today, and we got you for a few minutes. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Italian, although people can't really tell from the accent, and I run a construction company in Italy.
Oh, okay.
And I'm here today with two hats. So on the one hand, from the construction standpoint, I'm very interested in construction tech and sustainability. So how the two play together to attain sustainability goals for the construction sector. On top of that, as a kind of a hobby, I guess, I write for Forbes on PropTech and context. So I've built a pretty extensive network thanks to that in the PropTech space. And so yesterday I was invited to moderate a panel on investment management. And so how tech basically enables investment into real estate.
Right. So, so now tell us a little bit about what your plans are with the company, how you see the construction business as well going forward with tech, because most of our clients are on the development side, so they might not be looking at the actual construction end of it, but of course it's a big component, especially with materials and what the carbon embedded in, right?
100%. And one thing that really I can't stress enough is that there is no way to inject innovation into construction if your client isn't on board.
Right.
Because unfortunately, it's all about how much you get paid as well. As we know, it's a very low margin sector. So there needs to be like a common intent from the top to the bottom of the supply chain to invest and spend on sustainability and innovation. It's not for free, but it's very worth it.
Right.
So to the developers out there, I say it's better to spend a little bit more to get a better product built in a sustainable way using innovative technologies. And to the contractors, I say you have to innovate now, because especially in Europe, coming from a European perspective, we've committed to Fit for 55 and net zero. So it's a one-way street, and we cannot be on the wrong side of it.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, the end product will be in trouble, and no one will buy it, and no one will lease it if they're not involved. So where do you see, let's say, like on the developer side? Yeah, of course, costs are the big issue, especially with construction costs these days and inflation. Yeah. So trying to tell them, well, they've now got to pay more on top of telling them they're paying more, I would imagine. But who is, or what trends do you see? Who's more open for this? I mean, it could be by region or by sector. What developers, not as in by name, but is it the residential? Is it commercial, office?
So I think there's two sides to the equation here. On the one hand, I think that, quite frankly, it's who is held accountable. So what's very interesting is that more and more investors are looking at ESG.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess the larger you are, the more accountable you are to the public, the more important these criteria are. It's a branding and image element as well, because the thing is, there will probably be very soon a very strong divide between sustainable and not, where sustainable assets will be considered investable and the others will be considered the poor cousin nobody wants.
Right.
So it's a question of future-proofing your investment and making sure that it meets requirements for the future. Sure. Exactly. And also, as the more institutional investors are involved in the business, the more likely it is that sustainability targets become a central point of their investment strategy. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, if you look at the public sector, I think more and more there is accountability and transparency coming into play in the big infrastructure projects.
Right. Voters want it.
So governments have to deliver.
Right. And, when you're talking about investment side, actually, just since this war in Ukraine, a lot of the big investors that were investing in Poland and Czech and Hungary, they've actually went to Italy, Spain, and Portugal, some of the big U.S. investors that I've noticed. So have you seen that coming into play? And have they made and I know they're very, let's say, net zero sensitive, right? They're trying to get to that point or sustainable. So have you seen those as investors coming in, and has that played a role on the whole market?
So what I've noticed that there's a big uptick in interest in Italy since the pandemic. especially in the high-end hotel space.
Right.
For us
Yeah.
Sweden. And yes, more and more so the criteria. Well, I look at it from a contractor standpoint. So the tender criteria are more and more tied to sustainability metrics as well as design metrics. So yeah, I would agree.
So that's going. Oh, good. Well, that's so. How would you rate? How would you rate Italy in kind of a scale of sustainability and kind of heading the right direction? I mean, are the developers, are they aware of it? Highly aware? Is it all in play? Where do the banks fall into place?
About a couple of cycles behind, I would say, the UK and the US, but we're getting there.
Well, I guess all of Europe is a couple of cycles. So within Europe, how would you rate Italy with Spain and France?
A couple of cycles behind Germany, let's say, probably in line with Spain. I don't really know about France, but I would guess maybe a little bit behind.
Right. Well, very nice to meet you, and thank you. And I'm very interested in hearing your next presentation and the next panel.
I need to run to.
Right, I know they're talking to you. So thank you for joining the Coffee with Craig show, and we'll stay in contact.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks.
You too.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. And here are the highlights from the EuropaProperty.com website for today. And today we'll start in Warsaw, where One Asset Management and Zlata Capital have announced the closing of a purpose-built student accommodation project in Warsaw, where First Asset Management will be the acting lead investor and asset manager, and whilst Zlata will be the main developer and minority investor. And according to Matas Mokolinius, partner at One Asset Management, by the start of the school year in 2025, we will build around 350 units of modern PBSA for students and young professionals under the Shed Living brand. And Zlata Capital's João Sharako continues, in terms of fundamentals, Warsaw is probably the best place in Europe to invest in student housing projects. Moving on, and Panattoni has moved its regional branch to new offices on the 27th floor of the KTW2 office building in Katowice. The 900 square meter space will house around 50 Panattoni staff. In the near future, the developer is to launch Panattoni Park Katowice Airport, which will eventually house around 216,000 square meters of warehouse space and will be the largest development under a single roof in the region. And according to Marek Dobritsky, the managing director at Panattoni, our location centre gives us the appropriate prestige, but also excellent access to office employees. Moreover, we could gain excellent prospects to expand in the future. Staying in Poland and in the warehouse industry, and Savills Investment Management has signed a lease extension at Park Szczecin Tribusz with Carlsberg Polska. Carlsberg decided to continue leasing around 15,000 square meters of modern space in the facility. And according to Gabriela Mazurczak, asset manager at Savills IM, the extension of the lease with Carlsberg is a result of our excellent long-term cooperation and also confirms the high quality of the parks. And according to Marcin Bedlin, he's the warehouse and HS manager at Carlsberg. He says the warehouse space we lease meets Carlsberg Poland's expectations as to the amount of available space, the facilities at the building, and its location, which enabled us efficient distribution of our products in Poland and on foreign markets. And finally, for today, Greenman Poland, asset manager and developer of retail assets, formerly known as Newbridge Poland, has announced the appointment of Barbara Wojdelko as its CEO following Greenman Group's acquisition of the business. Barbara will lead the team as Greenman Poland expands further into Poland, the broader CEE region. She will be based in Warsaw and report to Johnny Wilkinson, CEO of Greenman Group. And those are the highlights from the EuropaProperty.com website for today. For more news, please join me again tomorrow.
Click here to subscribe to the Coffee with Craig show, and don't forget to share it with your friends.